Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really critical issue in education, the massive gap between the ambitious goals we have for learning in the 21st century and the tough, day-to-day realities that teachers are facing in the classroom. So, what are we asking our students to be able to do these days? We're going to look at that soaring vision, then break down the professional blueprint for the teachers who have to make it happen, and then, well, we'll compare all that to what's actually going on in the schools. Let's get into it. All right, first things first. Let's talk about the vision for the modern student. And let me tell you, the expectations are sky high. We're talking way beyond just memorizing facts for a test. A huge piece of this is innovation. I mean, we expect students to not only come up with new and valuable ideas, but also to look at their own work, reflect on it, and figure out how to make it better. Basically, we want them to be creators. And it doesn't stop with creativity. Students also have to be really sharp critical thinkers. This means they can look at an argument, analyze it, connect different pieces of information, and then use what they know to solve problems they've never seen before. And the final piece of the puzzle here is collaboration. The goal is to raise students who can communicate their ideas really clearly, work well with all kinds of different people, and take shared ownership to get things done. It's a really powerful vision for the kind of graduate we want, right? Okay. So if that's the kind of student we're trying to build, what's the blueprint for the teachers? The architects who are actually supposed to construct all these skills. Well, a lot of school systems use incredibly detailed guides, something like the Danielson framework. This thing basically lays out the entire complex art and science of what it takes to be a great teacher. It all starts with planning, and I mean meticulous planning. A proficient teacher needs to know their subject inside and out, have a really deep understanding of how kids learn and develop, and then design these challenging lessons that work for every single student in the room. Next up is the classroom environment itself, and this is so much more than just classroom management. We're talking about building real positive relationships and creating a culture where high expectations are just normal. And of course, when it's actually time to teach, the bar is set incredibly high. A proficient teacher is expected to use high-level questions, give students clear and useful feedback, and get every kid involved in some really challenging, brain-stretching work. So, you've got this amazing vision, this super complex framework. It all sounds great on paper, but what does that actually feel like on a random Tuesday afternoon? Let's take a look at the view from inside the classroom. One of the things you hear about over and over again is grading. And this quote just nails the feeling, doesn't it? It's not about slapping a letter grade on a paper. It's about giving feedback. But it can feel like you're pouring all this energy into something the student barely glanced at. Then there's the sheer weight of administrative stuff. You know that one prep period a teacher gets, the one they're supposed to use to plan those amazing lessons we just talked about? Well, a lot of the time, it's completely swallowed by a never-ending flood of emails. And oh boy, technology, the very thing that's supposed to make everything easier, often becomes a massive headache. When the tech is unreliable, it doesn't just slow a lesson down, it creates real stress and just eats up precious class time. This quote here, it really hits home. Because maybe the hardest part of all is the emotional labor, that daily, grinding effort of trying to motivate students who just seem completely checked out. So when you put all these stories together, a really clear picture starts to form. The biggest roadblocks to amazing instruction aren't some lofty philosophical debate. They're practical, everyday things. The endless grading, the admin tasks, the broken tech, and that constant struggle for student engagement. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, right? We have this huge gap between the grand vision and the daily grind. So how do we even begin to bridge it? What we're looking at is a massive disconnect. We ask teachers to be these architects of high-level, creative, intellectual growth, but then their days get eaten alive by logistical, administrative, and emotionally draining tasks that pull them in the exact opposite direction. This slide just puts it in black and white. On one hand, the official blueprint says foster curiosity and higher-order thinking. Awesome. But on the other hand, the reality for that same teacher is often just the basic struggle of trying to get students to take out a pencil and start the first task. And as this teacher points out so perfectly, it's not just about the daily tasks. The job can feel impossible because of these huge systemic problems. Things like funding, class sizes, and just the general lack of respect for the profession. Those are the foundation. And right now, it's shaky. When this gap keeps getting wider, the consequences are serious.
Teacher burnout goes through the roof, and students, well, they're the ones who miss out on the very kind of learning we say we want for them. Which leaves us with a pretty tough question to think about. Our vision for education is soaring higher than ever. But is our support for teachers even getting off the ground?